So welcome all of you. It is really a pleasure to meet you very briefly. My name is Erik Owens. I'm a professor in theology and I'm director of the International Studies program. And I'm joined by Professor Nakazato, who's a professor in the International Studies program. He's associate director of our program, the director of undergraduate studies, and he's a political scientist by training. And I'm also joined by three of our peer advisors and maybe four in a little bit. Laura Bianchi, Ziad Anwar, Christina Quinn. They'll all talk to you at the end of our little intro session about their concentrations and their path through the major and things like that. So I'll talk for about 10 or 15 minutes with some basics with a PowerPoint, and then we'll click off and the peer advisors will talk and Professor Nakazato if he likes, and we'll open up for your questions. Okay, we'll have lots of time for conversation. So with that, let me share my my screen here and I'll get started from here. Okay, everybody see the PowerPoint there? Thumbs up? Yeah, okay, great. So the International Studies program, you've done a little bit of reading about it, but the things that we like to highlight at the very outset are that it's flexible, it's rigorous, it's interdisciplinary, and it's global. The global part, I think, is pretty obvious around the content that we'll be covering. It's interdisciplinary in a lot of different ways, primarily because you'll be taking up issues of global concern from a variety of methodologies, political science or history or theology or sociology or economics, et cetera. But it's also obviously interdisciplinary in the course selections you'll be able to choose, not just the methodologies. So ways of thinking, ways of knowing are quite different across our program. It's rigorous. We have high requirements. There's an application process, as you know, an extra year of language study is required, et cetera. And that's all in the service of creating a really terrific, cohesive program. One of the other signatures of our program is that it's flexible. You'll see why, but you'll be able to choose from over 400 different classes that are approved for our major, in addition to choosing one of your 4 concentrations. We have a core within the major, but we also have tons of choice, and you can study abroad wherever you like, et cetera. So that combination of flexibility, rigor, interdisciplinarity, and the global focus is what really defines our program. The IS program was started in 1995, and then it launched as a full major in 2001. So we're over 20 years old. Since the beginning, our program has been capped in size, and we have an application process to manage that size. Currently, our size of the admitted class is about 105 students per year. And we do that because we have to manage our faculty resources in order to make sure that we have classes that can manage small discussion groups, that all of our advisors can do high-touch advising with you. We are very invested in our students. And if we take too many students, that we're not able to give the attention to the students that they deserve. The approximate size of our 3 years of cohort, because we can't include freshmen as majors in our counts, about 270 majors at this point and around 140 minors. Those numbers, those numbers decline from 105 each year because some people transfer out of BC or they decide to drop a double major or move to a different major, et cetera. So there's some small level of attrition over the years from that 105 student starting point. The IS major, we think, is a terrific complement to other majors at the university. Even though it does have a high number of course requirements, many of our students double major or major and minor in a variety of things, whether that's traditional departments, whether it's a sort of area studies programs where you get a very hard a very strong regional focus, or other interdisciplinary programs as well. Ziad, one of our peer advisors who you'll talk to, is an environmental studies IS double major, and just as one example. So the program is very much amenable to double majoring or to majoring and minoring with a different program. So specifically about the major, we like to talk about moving through the pathways of the major in 5 big steps. 1, you take our core courses. 2, you focus in one of our concentrations. 3, you learn a language or 2. 4, you study abroad. And 5, you do your senior research project, either a seminar or a thesis. These don't have to happen one after the other. In fact, they overlap in many ways, but these are the 5 big areas of the major. So let's take those one at a time. The, oops, sorry, I went the wrong direction there. The core courses look like this. We have 7 core required courses for all IS majors. One course is a Foundations in Global History called Where on Earth. One of them is a Foundations in Global History and Political Geography, which is also called Where on Earth. They're linked classes in your sophomore year, fall of your sophomore year. Another sophomore required class you take in the spring semester sophomore year is Intro to International Relations, which is a political science oriented class. Then you take Principles of Economics. You can take it anytime during your time at BC. Some of you might have already taken it this year. You need to take a second economics elective at the 2000 level or above. You take a comparative politics course. Usually those are in political science, but not always. And then you take ethics, religion, and international politics after you've studied abroad. So that's the 7 required courses that all IS majors take. And within those, the comparative politics, you can choose from a list. You can choose from a list of the economics courses as well. So some of those have 15 choices you can make within that core requirement. Then you choose a concentration. We have 4 concentrations within our major. You'll see that they're all interdisciplinary. They're thematic rather than disciplinary. So our 4 concentrations are cooperation and conflict, ethics and social justice, global cultures, and political economy and development studies. If you're interested in a topic, say like economic inequality, you could choose to study that through any of these 4 concentrations, or migration, or gender, or human rights, or war and peace, or climate, environmental justice, etc. Any of these big global themes that we work with are amenable to study from any of these concentrations, but some lean in certain directions. Conflict and cooperation have a more concentrated political science-y focus. Political economy, of course, has a little more econ focus, etc. So we can talk about what that looks like. But any topic you're interested in, you are likely to be able to study it from within any of the 4 concentrations. The concentration has 2 parts. There's a theories and a methods course. You get to choose from a handful of choices from each of those, and then you take 4 electives. So a concentration is essentially 6 classes, 2 foundational courses and 4 electives. And the electives, this is a list of over 400 classes we have around the university that are approved. Not all of those 400 are taught every semester, of course. So each semester we publish a list, which you can see on our website, on our homepage of our website, a list of all of the approved courses for each of the 4 concentration electives each semester. All right. The next big step, the third big step of completing the major, is the language requirement. We have a requirement of advanced proficiency in 1 modern foreign language, or intermediate proficiency in 2 modern foreign languages. If you come to Boston College as a native bilingual speaker, then you will waive your requirements for this. We encourage you to continue studying other languages, but you'd be done. If you received a 5 on your AP language exam in a modern language, you'd be able to waive this requirement. If you're starting from 0 with a new language or continuing on, this is the advanced proficiency is the equivalent of 3 years starting from 0 at BC of finishing with like CCR2 in Spanish or French, for example. There are some exceptions around the number of years for Mandarin or Arabic. They have higher credits, etc. Or you could choose to do 2 years of 2 foreign languages, the equivalent of 2 years. Maybe you came in with an AP score of 4 on a Spanish exam and you want to study Russian or Italian or Korean or something. So you can combine those to complete this requirement. We encourage every IS major to study abroad, primarily during a semester or a year, but also during the summer or breaks. Almost 90% of our majors study abroad each year. Of course, that number dropped during COVID to 0 briefly, and then is climbing back up to its normal rate right now. But this is more than twice the BC average. So the culture here is that you do study abroad. That's our expectation, and we do everything possible to help you figure out the best place. And if there are any obstacles to that, whether it's financing or scheduling or things like that, we help you figure that out. 2 of your classes abroad each semester can apply toward your IS electives, but all the other courses can apply to your other majors or minors or to your general Boston College credits. So everything you do abroad counts toward your graduation, and 2 of them can come back as electives or sometimes IS core classes. The Office of Global Engagement, or OGE, is in charge of all of that. And they manage all study abroad programs. We don't manage them, but they have a ton of opportunities. While you're abroad, you can do research, you can do internships working with organizations, you can do homestays, there's all sorts of stuff. And of course, you're learning languages along the way. I'm happy to say that after a 3-year gap, we're hosting our second, what we call the IS Summit, which is a weekend retreat for international studies students and some other BC students to spend the weekend reflecting on how their study abroad is going, what they expected it to be, what they hoped it would be like, what kind of person they're becoming or want to be, how the study abroad experience relates to that, and what they'll bring back to BC. Our first one was in the southwestern part of England in the countryside. You see the flyer on the bottom right there. This one coming up at the end of March will be in Amsterdam. And it's all expenses paid for this except for the travel to Amsterdam. So we're hoping to be able to continue that in future years. I'm not entirely sure, but all right. So study abroad is important to us. And then for your senior year as a major, you either take a senior seminar, which is a 1-semester course taught by an IS faculty on a topic of their choice. You'll usually get to choose you choose 1 out of 5 of senior research seminars, and you write a paper and do research, etc. Or you write a year-long senior thesis project. About a third of our students choose to do a senior thesis. And if you do, you graduate with honors in our program, and your thesis is eligible for a prize, both within our program and across the university at large. All right. So as you know, the IS major requires an application, and it's a pretty straightforward one. There's a Google form that is the application. It's linked on our admission page on our website. As you can see, we're doing an online session now. We did another session in November. We've sent out emails to first-year advisors, to all freshmen in the Morrissey College, etc. The application is due February 1st of each year, and by the end of February, we'll announce application acceptances, etc. The application asks that you tell us what concentration you'd like to be in, and your interests, your language skills, etc. You write a short essay about a global problem you think is important, and a short statement around what your interests are within the program, or a little bit more about yourself. These are not intended to be as strenuous as your college applications. You've already gotten into Boston College, and that's amazing. This is a terrific school, and we all know you're talented people. This is to help us get to know you a bit more. You should not stress about this in the way that you were likely to have stressed about your college application, okay? This is helping us get to know you and the way you think and how you might fit into our program. We ask you to name a BC faculty member who, if we need to reach out to them, they can tell us a little bit about you. This might be your first year advisor. It might be a professor that you've had, but we generally don't reach out to them. You don't need to get a letter from them or ask them if you can do that. You can just name somebody who you've talked with. And then, of course, we need to take a look at your transcript. Okay, so that's about the major. The minor is essentially a slimmed down version of the major. You take 2 foundation courses, you take 4 electives, and you have an intermediate level language requirement, and that's it. So it's essentially like a concentration as opposed to the full core plus concentration plus senior project, etc. And you have a selection of a couple of foundation courses for your Foundation 1 and Foundation 2, and then you have all the same electives and concentrations that the IS majors have, constitute your choices with the IS minor concentration. You have the intermediate proficiency language requirement, which is the same as the Morrissey College language requirement. So if you're a Morrissey College student, you'll be completing that to graduate anyway. And there's no application process, and you can declare at any time. So when you look across at the differences, you see that the IS major is a more robust, comprehensive program. And the IS minor, however, captures a lot of what's special about the major by allowing these concentrations and a focus on a particular area that you like. And it's open to everyone. There's no admission process. You just declare it through our administrator, Ms. Joyce. All right, briefly, what to do with an international studies major? Where can it take you? Well, first of all, we think it's important to say that it takes you across disciplines. This is a liberal arts university, and you've heard a lot about what interdisciplinarity, why it's helpful as a critical thinker, as a citizen, as a person. And international studies is built around this idea that many different disciplines help us understand global problems. They're too complicated to solve just from the perspective of economics, or just from the perspective of sociology or something like that. We need a multidisciplinary approach to the things that are happening in the world. So to make that happen, we've approved classes in 6 out of Boston College's schools and the Schiller Institute for Integrated Science and Society. You're going to be moving around the university quite a bit as an international studies major. It can also take you into a really wide range of careers. Our alumni have worked at all of these named places here across all sorts of sectors: government, finance, consulting, advocacy work, education, think tanks, law, biotech, healthcare, large tech firms, service organizations, and much more. And they go to graduate schools in all sorts of different areas: law, public policy, public health, international affairs, business, medicine, et cetera. So our students choose a pathway and dig deep on it, and they go through all different careers. There's no single career track that international studies pushes our students into. You'll have lots of alumni who will help you. We do a lot of alumni events. They're all archived on our YouTube channel that you can check out as well, or most of them are. So being an IS major will also take you around the world. First of all, most of our IS majors, as I mentioned, will study abroad, and you'll be traveling and living somewhere else around the world. And that's a really important experience here at BC. Our IS graduates get postgraduate fellowships at a really high rate. We've had over 60 Fulbright winners in the IS majors since 2000 alone, in the past 20 years. And that's a huge number, much, much higher than other departments and programs here at BC. We have many of our students do a year or more of service, like the Peace Corps or Jesuit Volunteer Corps. And so there's an important community of alumni who have done that you could reflect on the possibilities of doing that with. And many of our graduates live abroad or work abroad or study abroad after graduation, do grad programs abroad, et cetera. So the IS major will take you around the world because your colleagues will be doing the same, your peers and your alumni and things like that. It's normalizing our movement and our study of things around the world outside of the US. One other thing I want to highlight is that the IS program is a community. We do all sorts of things. There's research projects going on. There's student-led projects. There's faculty-led projects. Here's just a small sample of them. The Global Conversations Project, which Ziad is one of the organizers of this year, has students at BC connecting via Zoom with students in up to 40 universities around the world to talk about issues that are interesting to them. It's student to student only. Global Citizenships Project runs small workshops around mid-career people who have committed their lives to making the world a better place, and they come back and talk about those challenges. The portal, you may have seen the shipping container, that's a video link with refugee camps and communities around the world, et cetera, et cetera. I won't take all our time with these, but we do a lot of stuff as a program, and our students are super engaged on campus. So you'd be joining a community that does social events, academic events, professional events, et cetera. Our peer advisors, we have 7 peer advisors this year. You'll see them introduced more fully on our website, and I'll ask them to introduce themselves here, the ones who are here today. They are one of the core parts of our program. They're here to help you think about your pathway through the major, to share their experiences, et cetera. It's a terrific resource. And they also help to publish every week's newsletter. So if you haven't already signed up for the International Studies newsletter, please do so. There's a link on the front of our homepage. Okay, that's all that I want to say right now. I'm going to try to stop sharing my screen as soon as I can. Okay, good. And let me turn it over to our other peer advisors who are here to say hello, say a word about your path of studies, and then we'll open up for conversation right after that. So Laura, can you get us started?
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Laura. I'm originally from Laguna Beach, California. I am a political economy and development studies concentration, and then I have a minor in finance. I went abroad for the year last year in Rome, Italy. I love to talk about it, so if you have questions about it, please ask. And yeah, I feel like that kind of covers everything. Oh, I'm doing a senior seminar this year about globalization and colonialism and things like that.
Yeah, terrific. Thank you. Ziad.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ziad. I'm a senior from Egypt originally, but immigrated to New York City, Queens. Have major in international studies and environmental studies with an Arabic studies minor. My concentration is global cultures. So if you're interested in that, I'm here to help with any questions. I also studied abroad in Venice, Italy. That was an amazing experience. And right after, I also did an internship in Singapore. I don't know. I like to stay abroad, and I'm looking for a career in abroad as well. There's just something about me. And what is that? Yes, I lead global conversations. I'm actually recruiting right now for new members. I'm specifically looking for underclassmen, so freshmen, sophomores. This is a great project to connect BC students with international students from across the world. We have over 50 connections. We have conversation regularly on various topics, 6 broader themes. I will talk more about this if any questions up, but I will include the application form below in the link box here, the chat. So if you would like to apply, please feel free to. It's a great way to be involved as well in the international studies kind of program.
Terrific. Thanks, Ed. Christina.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina. When I entered BC, I was a French major freshman year, and then I applied to the IS major, and now I'm an IS major with a French minor. I was abroad last year in France for the full year, which was an incredible opportunity. And I feel like the major really allows you to spend either the semester or the year abroad. And yeah, so with the program, I do a lot with global citizenship as well as a lot of social event planning. But yeah.
Thanks so much. And Christina, you can see in her background, she's sitting in our program office. We're based in Connolly House, which is at 300 Hammond Street. It's just across from McElroy, across Beacon Street, about a 2-minute walk from there. And we have couches and hangout space, and that's where our peer advisors do their office hours and things like Christina's doing right now. Okay, lastly, I think today, Mary, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Mary. I am from New Jersey originally. My concentration is ethics and social justice within the major, but I also have interests in women's and gender issues. I went abroad to Ecuador in the spring of my junior year, so last year, and then, I'm writing a thesis, theoretically, as my senior project, and yeah.
Great. So we have peer advisors from PEDS, we call it, Political Economy and Development Studies, from Ethics and Social Justice, from Global Culture, and our Conflict and Cooperation folks aren't here today. But let's get questions now from you guys. What can we help you answer about the program, the major, the minor, the application, study abroad, language study, anything that's on your mind?
I have a question.
Great.
My question's for Ziad. I'm interested in actually double majoring in international studies and environmental studies if I could get into both programs, obviously. But I know both departments have like higher credit requirements. So I guess I was just wondering if you could talk about how feasible it actually is and what your workload has kind of looked like.
Yeah, of course. Both are interdisciplinary majors, so they require around kind of 50 credit major, which is a lot higher than the regular major. I would say like starting to take some of the courses early on, like freshman year, like taking Principle of Econ, which I took my freshman year, and other environmental courses freshman year, that will help you a lot in terms of managing. The good part is you can double count, since both are big majors. I think you can count up to 3 courses, or even up to 5.
Far more than that.
Okay, 5. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you can count 5 to double count with both majors, and that's going to help you a lot. The good part is based on the kind of concentration that you're going to choose in both majors, because both require concentrations, you can easily double count, I would say. With that, I also traveled abroad, so I was able to get like 2-on-2 courses to count for both majors, and that's a lot, because usually majors allow you to count just 2, and I got 4 to count. So overall, I think it's very feasible. I don't think you'll have to overload at all. I did not, except for maybe labs that some courses in environmental studies were required to take. But other than that, I feel like it was feasible and I loved it. I think you're gonna get into both, hopefully. And just manage your courses and plan correctly. If you want, we can meet kind of during the peer advising time and we can look at the courses that can kind of double count and you can possibly take freshman year and sophomore year.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
So the general rule here at Boston College is that each major requires you to commit 27 credits only to that major. And they can sometimes go towards your BC core, but above the 27, you can start double counting. So if you double major in one that has a 40 credit requirement and one with a 30 credit requirement, you can pull just those 3 credits in one class. But for double majors that all have very high requirements, you can start double counting a bunch of classes like Ziad. That's probably the most extreme example. Islamic civilization and environmental studies are the 2 highest credit ones besides ours that then you can double count a whole handful of stuff. Usually it's 1, sometimes 2, sometimes more classes you double count. And that can be for a major or a minor. Other questions? Yeah, Professor Nakazato.
Just this is for the application process and also being an IS major. I just want to reiterate that to reinforce what Professor Owens says, we just want to get an idea of what you want to do in the IS program. So several points that are often asked subsequently, can you change concentrations? Yes, you can. Just put one down. I think I'm interested in this one for now. And a lot of courses actually will cross over multiple concentrations. So if you are selective, you can sort of be halfway into your major, like a junior site. I want to switch concentrations, and it might be doable. So don't worry about that. Just put one down. You can change when you officially become a major, 1. 2, you can change midstream a little later. There's a certain point where you might have to just commit. But that's important to mention that you can change. So the flexibility built in is also flexible in terms of we're not forcing you to finish in the concentration you just thought you might start. That's one thing. 2, the flexibility does allow for like a major and major, or a major and minor, or a major and double minor. So it's one of you mentioned you were a French minor, or sorry, a French major at the moment. That's easy hanging fruit, because we'll expect you, but you don't have to go to France. So yeah, there is a lot of flexibility built into the program, and that's one of the greater strengths about this. If you like history but you don't commit to a history major, if you like poli-sci, don't want to be a political science major, this is the major actually designed for that, as long as you don't mind studying global issues.
Good. Other questions?
Yeah, I had a question.
Great.
I was wondering, like as a freshman, if we should be taking any like of those elective classes, like such as like that comparative government class, or should we just wait till next year?
Yeah, good
My
question.
answer, if I can answer that, is if it's open when you're when it's your turn to register, go for it. Okay, it's just a matter of being a freshman and trying to get into a spot for your first semester, your fall is a little hard. What you should do is we're going to put you into a 2 6-credit course, the Where on Earth project. So that's already 2 of your fall classes. You should also then think, do you have your language down? Or as Ziad said, do your econ if you haven't done that already. Or again, knock out some of the core. So there are things you can do. So if you can get in, good for you. It's just that when you get to register right now, this year, a lot of them will close. And that's just being honest. But if you see something open up over the summer, you should drop a class, add the class. So getting a head start on your concentration is perfectly fine.
Yeah, but don't stress about what you're taking right now. So don't think that we need to see a particular class in order to admit you into the program or things like that. We want to see how you're doing in classes that have some relationship to the classes we're teaching, we offer. So if you bombed organic chemistry last semester, that doesn't trouble us one bit. We're not going to be teaching organic chemistry. That will depress your GPA a little bit, but we don't We don't base things on GPA. We're looking at how you're doing in classes that are relevant to us. We want to know that you can handle the rigor of the work that we have, because it's not a simple major, but we aren't looking for, you know, pure GPA or things like that. So we're attentive to that. We also don't care whether you took one particular class or another. We love it when you show that you have an international interest, and that maybe you took a core renewal course that's interdisciplinary or global or something like that. Or if you want to take econ or comparative politics, that's great too. But don't stress about what class you're in today and think that you have to change any classes right now in order to be accepted into our major. We don't want to give that impression, because that's not true. Good. Any other questions? Did we really do that great of a job of explaining things? I guess we did. Okay, the peer advisors that are here and the ones who weren't here today are all available for online conversations and for in-person meetings. If you go to our website, you check our newsletter or whatever, go to the peer advising section, you'll see ways to we'll see ways to chat with them. And they're here to chat about course selection, applications, study abroad, internships, the whole works. They're their full service operation. So don't be shy. As you can see, they're terrific and super interesting and accomplished. So I hope that we'll get applications from all of you. They're due in 10 days by the end of the day on February 1st. And again, it's not intended to freak you out. The application is meant to help us get to know you. So tell us a bit about your interests and things you think are important in the world that you'd like to be studying. And we'd love to have you as part of the IS program. Okay. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.